So, when did you get that video?
So I was looking at Google or something on, no, not Google, YouTube this morning, and I saw it, and I looked at it like, oh, okay, let's see what they're doing. I didn't realize it was so new, so I didn't realize it was something, I didn't think I was with the times because I'm so behind the times on the music. And so I just looked at it like, oh, that's a good idea. I was like, these young girls now, they are definitely a different breed. They are not where we were. They have turned sexualism into empowerment.
Power, right. And then, Kevin, when he sent it to me, now he was being funny, but he was also, because we've had those conversations about how overly sexual this generation is.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, in fact, what did he say? Look at, get these thoughts, or look at this mess, or whatever like that. But he was kind of trying to say, here they go again with this, nonsense. But when I saw it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love it. Like this.
Mm-hmm.
These chicks, okay, tell them then. So the women, like, I don't know if you remember. I'm trying to think. Did you model when you was younger?
No. Mm-mm.
Never? Like, not even in college?
Mm-mm.
But I know when I was trying to model, like, everything and everywhere, like, I don't care what it was, you were going to, not just, you're a woman, so you're going to get approached and you're going to get addressed with somebody's going to try you. But in that industry, it's literally an expectation. And even though it's an expectation, even if it's not something that you did, it's an assumption. So let's say you're watching a video and you see these women, the prettiest girl, or you see these women, doing whatever. You kind of assume you already know what they did to get on there. And everybody who gets the opportunity, or a lot of women who get the opportunity, either you expect or you assume they done something compromising to do so. So for me, looking at the videos now, and these women are doing, they're obviously as sexual, if not more, than they were back in the day. But I don't have that same feeling of, they have to compromise themselves to get it. To me, I'm looking at it from a perspective of they can do that because they want to. They showing they whole behind because they want to. They have full control over that.
That's true. I think that this younger generation definitely has, flipped and turned that over sexualization and men having, but and also women have had more opportunities in the industry that has been so male dominated for so long. So now when you get women in there, then they're able to kind of make their own rules and say, this is what I'm going to do, and have more control over it. I do think they're young right now, so it's fine because they're young, but it does have an expiration date, and then it'll be a younger generation that will come, and that's just with any industry, with any entertainment industry, modeling, whatever. Most people after a certain age, you're not doing that kind of stuff, or you shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff because you're older. You should be at a different phase in life. But in this phase in life, and this is the I don't care phase of your 20s, this is when you do this kind of stuff.
It's
and
funny
they have found a way. And they have found a way to make it pay them.
But it's interesting
but the people that are upset about it, or the men, or even the women that are upset about it, that they did all this stuff for free. They did not do it. This stuff has always been done. It's not a secret. Like, everybody knows. And they talk about it. Yeah, they said it on a house party. Ooh, I remember your mama. They used to call it jawbone. This stuff is not new. Everything that they're talking about is stuff that that have been done before, but
already exists.
They didn't have the power, and it was
control.
done in secret, and they didn't have the power to control, so it was done in secrecy, or in the privacy of that little space or whatever, and it was just word on the street. But now they have made that word on the street pay them.
But it's interesting that you say the younger generation, but to see Trina in that video, because we're talking about the WAP video, right? To see Trina, not WAP, I'm sorry, I mixed the videos up. But I guess we are talking about the WAP video, but it's a video with, that's what made me think of her. So what's the young lady's name?
Mulatto or whatever.
Mulatto. She's in the WAP video, but she has her own video, and it's her. I don't even know the other girl name, so she's from the West Coast. But Trina's in that video, and I was excited to see Trina. Even though I can understand it. Oh, these young girls, you should do that. But it was cool to see a veteran in the game, and she was dressed, a little more veteran than they were. They practically naked, literally underwear and jackets, but she had on clothes. But Trina is a representation of, like you said, we've been doing this. This is we were that generation of women who was trying to pioneer that power to let you all know we can do this. We sexy and we have content, that's a little explicit, but guess what? This is what it is, and we want to share that. And it just wasn't, it wasn't hitting like it is now. You still had, it was still risque, it was still, you were still
and it was still largely underground too, because Trina and Kaya and all them, they were saying all these things about pay me and all this kind of stuff, and I believe that they were getting money. It just wasn't sensationalized like it is now.
That's right. So
because they have been in it for years. Trina came after Little Kim, but like Trina and them, it's a whole generation right there of people that they were doing things as well. It just wasn't sensationalized. I think what happened is social media catapulted these young girls faster than what Trina and them were doing. So that's the element that they didn't have. So Trina
they
and
did
they
need the men on some level.
So Lil' Kim them, they were fighting that fight to get seen. They had to get seen in any way that they could get seen. They were fighting that fight. So when they kind of, let it go, when they matured past that stage, because it is a stage in life, nobody stays that way forever. It is a stage. So when they get past it, then you have the Trinas who are like, I'm taking control of this because I want to do it, and you're going to do what I say, blah, blah, blah. However, they don't, but because they are still women in that male-dominated industry, they don't have the vehicle or the platform or the promotion behind them.
That's
so
true.
They're making great music. They're making all of this stuff. They're saying the same stuff that these young girls are saying now. They just don't have a vehicle to do it. Now, with social media, these young girls are saying the same thing Trina and them are saying, same thing Lil' Kim and them are saying. They got a vehicle behind it outside of the male industry, outside of the male-dominated industry. Before, you needed somebody at the record company to vouch for you and all this kind of stuff. Now, I can do it myself. I can go on YouTube and I can get paid my damn stuff. I don't need you.
Exactly.
And I can say what I want.
True. And then, with that WAP video, it wasn't a man in there. So these chicks full. And
they're talking all about men's parts.
Exactly. But ain't no man in the video, which to me it just genuinely shows, or it displays the amount of control. These women aren't just, yes, their verbal content is about sex and is very explicit. But what they're displaying is the control of that verbal content. I can say what I want, not because you made me, because this is what I want to say. And I'm in your face, and guess what? It's going to make, it sounds good, it looks good, and it feels good. And they win it. They win in doing it. So, back in the day with the videos, your superheads and all of them, for them to be them stars and dropping it in the video.
They had to pay the price to do that. They had to. That was the only way that they could, because they had no other vehicle. Now that there's another vehicle, you don't need it. Just like when women went into the workforce in general, marriages suffer. I don't need to stay married in this miserable marriage for you to take care of me, because I can make my own now.
That's true.
Anytime there's a different vehicle, power comes out of that.
And the funny thing is, I've had this, now technically the guy who sent me this video, we had a conversation about just this whole these women, the rap girls in this game, and just what they're talking about and everything. And to me, the perspective of how he views it, and somebody else too, actually, it still gets viewed in that very degrading view. So it's almost like he didn't understand why I'm promoting and perpetuating, like, supporting it, basically. Like, I get it. Even though it is raunchy, even though it is risque, even though it is all that, I'm supporting it, whereas, I'll be honest, I wasn't as supportive before. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can admit I wasn't really for all of the vulgar content that Foxy Brown was saying or Lil' Kim was saying. I like Foxy Brown like Lil' Kim, not necessarily the vulgarity. And now, fast forward dang near 20 years later, I'm listening to the same content, apparently with different ears, because I'm like, well, sometimes you just got to, put his face in it. Like, that's just, I don't know. I'm okay with it. Or maybe at the time I felt that whole pressure of they're only saying that because kind of thing. And and I know when I wanted something, I felt like I had to do it or I wasn't going to get accepted unless. Whereas now I know these women are saying it because they want to. If they're not trying to get nothing out of it, nothing that they can't get themselves. So it is kind of, I'm not just listening to the words, I'm listening to the power. Like, man, these women can do that. They can be sexual or they can be demanding, and they have nothing to lose. They're the ones that's actually calling the shots. It's just it feels good, like, wow, we are in a place. We're in the vehicle that's in the passenger seat. I mean, the driver's seat, not the passenger seat anymore. And me and him, I can just tell what I'm saying. I guess we're saying that to say, I think it's almost a perspective of jealousy now because they know they're not in the driver's seat anymore. So you're judging something that's always existed, but you've always been in the driver's seat. Now you're looking at the exact same thing, but you're in the back.
Yeah, it's a loss of control. And anytime you lose control, you're going to judge it, you're going to condemn it, you're going to try and get the control back. There's no other, like, in any other way to get the control back is to judge it, condemn it, to make it be worse than what it is because you don't have that control. So, I mean, just like anything is being overthrown, it's going to be a fight down, but it's still going to go down.
That's true. Yeah,
and
well,
and if you have to think about the male perspective, they used to being needed and having to be in that space and having to have that control. That's a hard pill to swallow.
That's true. I literally don't need you.
And that's been a hard pill to swallow. It's been a hard pill to swallow since the 60s. Since women were burning their bras. It's been a hard pill to swallow.
That's true. Well, I tell you this. I don't even know what they were singing about, but that was my video. and then they walked a bunch of bad chicks through that video. Like, God dang. The video full of breasts. I'm like, woo, these chicks is serious. They own all this, literally and figuratively. They paid for most of it, and they are genuine.
So they own it.
They own
it. It don't matter how you get it. It don't matter
because
it don't matter. At the end of the day, they paid for it, and somebody else didn't. Ain't nobody looking at nobody else. They're looking at them ones who paid for it.
Well,
so
there it is. Ha! What makes it say, ow. Ow. I can't do it, but you know what I mean.
That's what she does. She just say, ah.
All right.
That's it. All right.